Hey YouTube, hey subscribers, thanks for tuning in. So this is a video that I've been kind of going back and forth in my mind about doing for a long time because to me, it's so obvious of a point that there was really no need to isolate it and make a whole video about it. But I've recently come across some very interesting individuals that made me reconsider and say, you know what? I think I do need to go ahead and do a video on how controlling narcissists are and how much they enjoy the idea of controlling others. Let me read you this post. It was on a comment board, and the topic was how Nokia is re-releasing their very first phones. And you'd remember it, little small kind of odd-shaped phones with the gray buttons. They're doing a re-release. And so I was just kind of scrolling through comments to see what people thought. And I came across this one comment and I was like, good Lord, this poor child is really in for it as he gets older. And the comment goes, I have been putting off getting my son, he's 5, a phone until he was at least 10, simply because smartphones are not for kids, period, in my opinion, and my son has to live by my opinion. But I will definitely reconsider for this. 1, it's not a smartphone, and 2, he would grow with a piece of my own childhood. Sounds like a done deal. Now, this argument to me is not about at what age children should get phones. I think that's absolutely a decision for each parent to make for their child and their family. What got me and what stuck with me is this line right here, which is actually in parentheses. It says, in my opinion, comma, and my son has to live by my opinion. Like, if you don't recognize how controlling that is, you might actually be a controlling person. Now, a lot of parents might jump in and try to debate me on this and say, but your children do live by your opinion. Yes, they do. But then to go further and say she's okay with him having this type of phone because it's not a smartphone, which is fine, whatever, neither here nor there. But he would grow up with a piece of her own childhood. So this is all about you. It's about your opinion, him growing up with your childhood. Do you see where I'm going with this? So again, I'm not debating at what age you get your child a phone, smartphone. That's neither here nor there. To me, it was almost like why does it even need to be said? She could have said this. I've been putting off getting my son, he's 5, a phone until he was at least 10, simply because smartphones are not for kids, period, in my opinion. And she could have left it at that. And then she could have gone on to say, but I will definitely reconsider for this. It's not a smartphone. Sounds like a done deal to me. I mean, that could have been the whole post. But this whole interjection of my son has to live by my opinion, can you imagine that bouncing off of a 15 or 16-year-old who's coming into their own and they have a mother who's already predispositioned towards her way being the only way? People who operate like this have horrible relationships. They're controlling. That's what controlling is. So let's look at a quick definition of controlling for the sake of clarity and for the sake of remembering what this word actually means. Controlling in the noun sense means the act or power of controlling, regulation, domination, or command. The situation of being under the regulation, domination, or command of another. Check or restraint. A legal or official means of regulation or restraint. A person who acts as a check, controller, a device for regulating and guiding a machine as a motor or airplane, okay? It's the interest in, the excitement about, he has to live by my opinion, and he gets to grow up with a piece of my childhood. It's like, it's all about her. Some of you might say, okay, I've never been called controlling, but I don't really understand what's wrong with what the mother said. Like, he's 5. She has to make decisions for his life. She is responsible for his safety, his well-being, all of that. I do not disagree with you at all. I think that's a parent's job. And it's a parent's judgment call to decide when their child is ready for something like that. I don't disagree with any of that. What I'm trying to get you to see is her enjoyment about him living by her opinion. So can you imagine as he grows older and he starts to self-actualize and he starts to assert himself as he's becoming an adult, not in a disrespectful, rude way, but in a sense of preferences, You know what I mean? This is where people learn to be codependent. When people start to learn that they don't have a voice, they don't have a choice. Now, some of you will push back and say, he doesn't work, he doesn't contribute to the house, he pays no bills. So no, he doesn't have a voice, and no, he doesn't have a choice. And what I'm telling you is you're actually creating a codependent human being. Controlling people don't like to teach as they go. They usually don't have much of a rationale other than thinking that they know what's best. But here's the bigger piece. They think they already have all of the information. When you're this type of person, when you get off on controlling others, you develop extremely poor relationships. You either develop highly combative relationships or you develop highly codependent relationships, and neither one of those are healthy. Your goal is a healthy relationship. But there's a balance to a healthy relationship. And I guess actually that's one of the big takeaways from all this. There's no balance with controlling people. Controlling people don't think other people's opinion matters at all. It's all or nothing. It's their way or the highway, which is one of my most hated cliches of all time. But a healthy relationship has balance. Controlling people are extremely imbalanced, and it's always has to be their way. Controlling people come from a place of, I almost want to say malice, but malice is kind of harsh. But I want to say controlling people don't come from a loving place, is what I will say. Healthy people have a tendency to operate from a place of love. So let's kind of touch on this really quick, and then I'll close. Narcissists also enjoy the idea of controlling others. So I touched on that a little bit with the mom's post, but I want to get into it in a different respect. So historically throughout my career, personally, I have shied away from leadership positions, mainly because I don't like the idea of telling adults what to do. I don't. I'm really not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of telling an adult when they can go on vacation, when they can take a sick day, when they can leave early, sitting them down because they've come in too late. That's not me. That's not my personality. I have no interest in it at all. And I always look at the leadership team as a whole. And what I've seen is you have to be very okay with treating people like crap. You have to be okay with treating people like garbage. You have to be okay with controlling people with no explanation, no rationale, nothing. You have to be content with that. And I'm just not. I don't like treating people that way. Because once again, I just did a video on this. Narcissists try to override principles. There are principles to human nature. But I'll close with this here. The mark of a true fool is someone who never asks questions. I guess being controlling comes down to a very low desire to learn new things. They don't like to learn. They certainly don't like to read. More than not liking to read, they don't like to learn. So there's another mark of a narcissist. They think they know everything already. They think they've been exposed to everything. They think they've considered every angle. So that's it. Narcissists are extremely controlling, and they enjoy the idea of controlling others. They fantasize about leadership and management roles. It's almost like a God complex in a way. It's weird. But yeah, narcissists are weird. So what are you going to do? But anyway, hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Take care. And as always, grant you the permission to exist. Bye-bye.